Good afternoon. I welcome you to MageeNews.com, and as you know, I never really know who's going to show up at my door and who I'm going to get to come and talk to me, but I think this is probably going to be one of our more interesting and intellectual talks that we've had in a while. Cory Wilson, who is an attorney at Madison, is our guest, and if you've noticed, or if you're good about reading everything on Magee News, his articles are under the county news, and they are very conservative, very good, and you need to be reading them. The one that's coming out this week, we're going to talk a little bit about today because it does have to do with the military. Mostly, I'm just going to ask him a few questions, but I want him to tell you what he wrote this week. And why did you write this?
Well, I wrote about the very low turnout among military voters across the country. In 2012, so far anyway, the figures are suggesting a almost record low turnout among men and women in uniform, especially deployed men and women. And that subject is very near and dear to my heart because 6 years ago I worked in the Pentagon as a White House Fellow, and 4 years ago when I was working with Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann, we traveled to Afghanistan and Kuwait and Iraq and Germany, and we talked to deployed troops about voting procedures and how to improve them, because this has been a problem now since at least the election of 2000, and there are a lot of logistical challenges in getting ballot materials overseas and back in time to count. And you know, it is a travesty for the men and women who are fighting for freedom not to be able to vote in the elections to determine their commander-in-chief, and that looks like what's going on this fall.
Well, why can't they vote? Why do you think it's going to be such a low turnout?
Well, they move a lot.
Okay.
A lot of deployed folks are around every 2 years, and they move somewhere totally different. So it's hard for the mail to keep up with them. It's also hard for the circuit clerk's office to keep up with them if they're not changing addresses or re-registering when they go to new states. So some of it is the responsibility of the individual in uniform, but a lot of it is state law doesn't allow enough time, for example, to get to and from that troop that's out in the field so the ballot gets back in time. Now, Mississippi does a pretty good job. We can actually work the process if you work it and are pretty efficient about it. But most people don't realize that election day for people in uniform overseas is really now, or it actually was about 2 weeks ago.
I was going to say, have we already missed it now?
We're getting real close to being able to miss it, because when we were overseas in Afghanistan, for example, and Iraq, there was about a 2-week turnaround each way. So if a soldier requested a ballot by mid-September or late September, they might get that ballot by mid-October, and then they had to turn around and vote it really quickly and get it back. A lot of states didn't allow enough time because the ballot wasn't finalized, for example, or they require notaries, or they require a notarized application for a ballot to get back before they'll ever send a ballot. Well, that doesn't work, and that's not good.
That's not fair.
No, it's really
not fair.
It's not fair for the people in uniform. I'll tell you one story. When we were in Afghanistan, we met a major over there, and he said, "Look, we give up a lot of our freedom to come over here and defend the country's freedoms." And he just looked us square in the eye and he said, "Please don't let one of the freedoms I have to give up be our right to vote." And I'll never forget that, because that's exactly right. They should be first in line at the poll. And the numbers are pretty significant too. There are huge drop-offs in absentee ballot requests in Florida, Ohio, some other battleground states where it's going to be close. And you're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes that would have an impact in this election if they're not cast.
I hope you'll take time to read this article this week. It'll be under County News. It'll be posted by tomorrow. And I hope you'll go to Cory's website, CoryWilson.com.
.ms.
.ms. I can't ever remember them. But it's worth going and see, because I think if you have missed, and his articles are still on the website, his past one, and I'm going to tell you something, they are well worth reading. Well worth reading. I hope you'll have a good day and enjoy this gorgeous weather, and check on Cory and check out his writings.
Well, thank you.